Hello. So I want to make this video to go through the various systems I have made for my game in Unity. The game is called Lost in the Open, and it's a brief description of the game would be it's a tactical turn-based combat game. It's quite similar in design to XCOM, but instead of using guns, which is inherently ranged, this game would focus more on melee combat, and would probably also have magic in a type of medieval esque time. So the theme is very medieval. And in the game, you are playing as a king who has been betrayed by his allies and driven out of their city into a forest that is kind of like a mysterious and dangerous and very mysterious forest. It's very mysterious. And the only way to survive that forest is by first off using the bodyguards that you got there with and recruiting new people on the way, new crazy people, whatever types of humans are in this place that you can find, and by of course managing your resources properly, your food and your gold and all that jazz. That's the idea. And what I want to do with this video is just go through the stuff that I added since last time, or really just go through everything because I didn't add very much last time I made one of these updates. So I'll start with showing the procedural generation of the map. So in this game, we have a procedural generation of this forest kind of area. The whole area is not actually forest. On the bottom here, you see this little lighter green, which signifies the coastal area. Yeah, I thought it would be fun to have different types of terrains, and I think that'll be a core part of the game. So this whole thing is procedurally generated, as you'll see. If I remake a new one, you get a different type of terrain. If I remake a new one, you also get a different events distributed across the map. And briefly, the system works by having parts of the map. Parts of the map are reserved for different types of terrain. So in this case, this top part that is gray is reserved for the mountainous part, and the mountain has certain types of events attached to it. So some events can only occur in the forest area, some can only occur in the mountain area, and some can only occur in the coastal area. In this case, you are at the forest grandeur. That's the thing that can obviously only occur in the forest. So you have some specific event. Let's see if I can go to this one. Oh, okay, I didn't get. There's an event specifically for the mountainous area, but the one I got now was just a generic event for everyone. But yeah, so this is how the maps generated, and you can go in between as you see. You can see all the places you can go. The next important part of the game is of course the combat. So I'll just click the button to, it's like a debug button to bring up the combat event. And so let's say I attack those bandits in their pesky camp. So here we get into the combat. This is like the art, all the stuff that's visual. It needs to be reworked. All the stuff is like, I'm reserving it to be designed by someone who actually knows how to make art. That would be like the ideal in the future. And so all these trees, they need to be remade, and all these dots and all these things are right now just debug. I'm just showing it to make more clear what's happening for myself. And this is the edge of the map, as you see, shown by the red. And yeah, so here's the combat. The combat is fairly simple. You can walk and you can attack. You see, I have these two different types of moves. The walking is green, the attacking is red, and you attack whatever you choose to attack. I can attack empty tiles and nothing happens here if I want to. And you also have the AI that's gonna start going after me, and I can prepare myself to be attacked. Let's see. I think they have one more step to go to come to my units. Alright, let's beat this guy down. Nice. There we go. Now I killed that guy by hitting him twice. Each of these attacks do 20, and they have 45 health. So I hit them with all these three guys and killed the first one, and this one I hit once with this guy. Let's see if okay. This one was attacked and this one was attacked. Alright, let's hit him. Kill that one. There we go. Okay. Now my king is protected. You gotta protect the king. Otherwise you lose the game if your king dies. There we go. I killed the last one. So that's about how the combat works for now. It's very, very simple, but I've been working on a lot of other systems first. And so let's talk about the systems. I think I would say the way I've approached this is I've deferred things that are more design heavy. I've deferred for later. For example, the combat and the scenarios in the map, like these scenarios. All of that is it depends on your game design, like whatever you want to do for the game design itself. Meanwhile, a lot of the systems that I have worked on are things that I know for sure are gonna be fundamental parts of the game. For example, the next thing we could talk about is the saving and the loading. Saving and loading, you gotta have that in every game. It's just a must-have. And so you see, I'm here, up here on the right. I have 15 gold, 16 food. If I go and I get to quit to menu, and then I continue, I'll get the exact same scenario again. And this works even if I would, in this case, turn off the game and then restart the game. I would be able to continue from the place that I left off. And this works also if you go into an actual combat. Let's do that again. Walk a little bit. These guys. Let's go there. And then have the enemy walk as well. And now if I quit the menu and I go back, they're in the same spot. And I'm also in the same spot. And also it remembers even the amount of moves you have left for each character. So if you're in the middle of your turn, you quit the menu for some reason, and then you go back, you'll have the same amount of moves. So you have the flexibility of not having to end your turn before you leave your keyboard. So yeah, and I mean it should be noted maybe that if I make a move here and then I turn off the game, like it crashes, for example. I don't know why it would crash, but let's say it does. If it crashes, then it won't actually, it won't save my move in that case. It only saves after the AI ends its turn. That's when it saves deliberately, so that when even if it crashes, you get back that much. I think that's a fair compromise. I think that's how most games do it anyway. And yeah, that's one of those fundamental systems you just have to have in the game. Another thing that I knew that I have to have in the game. A lot of this is a lot of the map generation part of the game. If I go back to a new game, this screen is inspired in large part by FTL, Faster Than Light, where they have this little conversation system, and then you an event happens and you get stuff, and you have this little interactive this whole system. I knew I wanted to have that from the start, so here it is, and it works, has a decent amount of things that it needs to have. It has, so if you get gold, it'll be here in like the right color. If you get food, it'll be here in the right color. You can always continue, and if you go to, let's say I go here, I have this. Luckily I got this. This is like, you have a little text to describe what's going on, and then you have 3 options. So you can give 1 food, 3 food, or just do nothing. And if you give 3 food, you lose 3 food, which is shown by the red, and then you gain gold. So it's like you have a lot. You can like a lot of events with interesting text to them, and consequences attached to them can be designed using this system. And it also, of course, lets me have combat. Let's see if I find a combat. Yeah, so here you also have the whole combat system. So if I click 1 there, attack them, then I come into this. So let's quit. I should also mention, obviously you want to have the menu system. In any game you want to have a menu system. So the menu system I have in this game is, you have the main menu, you have a new game, you can go into new game. Here you can go into the in-game menu, so clicking escape, and then you can also do stuff here. The settings system I haven't implemented settings or quit to desktop and settings. I have not implemented those yet, but I do have a regular in-game menu. And then also, if I lose the game, here I'm gonna delete my king. That's just like a thing I can do as debug. If I delete my king, I get this little menu too, the game over menu. And then I can go to new game. All this stuff I just know I want to have in the game, so I might as well start with that. Yeah, I think that's about it. I should mention 2 more things connected to the whole menu system, which is like a mandatory part. You of course want to have UI in your game. So here I have the resource showing, and if I go into combat again, in the combat here, if I click a unit, it shows like there's a picture of the unit, and then it shows the name of the unit and the health that it currently has. And down here you also have the ability bar. So 1 is for ability 1, 2 is for ability 2, and it just shows all the abilities you have, a little icon. And of course you can click end turn to end your turn. As a last thing, all these systems I would say are pretty generic, and you really want to have them in any type of game, which is why I started with them. But something that's maybe more specific to the game and also pretty important is the artificial intelligence aspect. Since you're going to be playing against a computer, you want the computer to, be fun to play against. And right now, I wouldn't really say that the game is very dynamic. The AI is, I have implemented an AI system that's fairly generic. I think it works for a lot of these tile-based games. I basically have what's called a domain knowledge system. It's inspired by Xenonauts. So basically, every tile that a AI can go to has a value attached to it. So depending on how quote unquote good the tile is to be on, it has a value attached to it. And also, depending on how much damage you can do to the player, me in this case, or my king preferably, the value of the tile goes up. So this is the reason I did it that complicated, because you could really just add like, oh, go towards the nearest enemy and hit it, and that would be done in maybe an hour or something. But the reason I did it this way is because I want to have a lot of different types of units. I want to have like a rogue that goes stealth and kind of like hides from the player. I want to have like a ranger that can position in like a logical, smart way. I want to have like a caster, maybe some sort of mix between melee and ranged. But anyway, I'll just briefly describe how the system works. So the enemy always tries to go closer to the king, or at least like the tiles closer to the king have higher values for these guys. And additionally, the AI wants to be close to its own allies. So if you have like, they try not to separate too much, which is just common sense, right? You don't want your enemy, like your fighting boys, to separate. You want to stay together. And also, they also don't feel very encouraged to go to places where there are a lot of enemies. So if I have like 10 enemies in this corner and 2 enemies up here, they're going to be slightly more inclined to go to the 2 up here than to go into the 10-man army down here. And that's the only ways right now that I'm having the computer prioritize where to go. But it's for just like these simple scenarios, it is enough, I would say. Yeah. So I think that's about it I wanted to show with this game. It was a bit longer introduction, a little bit longer recap than necessary, maybe 16 minutes, damn. But yeah. I think this game has a lot of potential. It needs a lot of game design work, probably a lot of testing to see if it actually is fun to play, if it, it's logical for a new player. You also, of course, need the tutorial at some point. But yeah, I'm pretty proud of what it is right now. It's been a lot of work, and Unity is sometimes tricky to play with, but also it has a lot of freedom, so it's also a lot of fun to play with if you just if you really get into it, it does become a lot of fun. But yeah, I will make another update, I think, when the game is a bit more, when it's progressed even further. But yeah, so sweet. Bye bye.